$560 million, the richest franchise in the WNBA, and Kelly Krauskopf has Caitlin Clark playing an offense built for somebody else. Wednesday night in Los Angeles, Clark went 1 for 7 from 3. She drove the rim anyway, 8 for 10 inside the arc. The Fever won by 9. The Washington Mystics tip Indiana's home opener tonight at 6:30 with the same offense on the floor. Every Fever fan with eyes saw the same thing: $560 million. That's what the Sportico valuation pegged this franchise at 3 weeks ago. 2 years ago, the same franchise was worth $90 million, a 522% jump in 24 months. All of it because of the player who's currently driving into traffic on every possession because nobody in the front office could figure out how to give her a clean look. Kelsey Mitchell scored 23 on Wednesday. She did it shooting contested fadeaways because that's what the offense generates. Aliyah Boston, who signed the largest total contract in WNBA history this offseason, $6.3 million over 4 years, barely touched the ball in the fourth quarter. Caitlin Clark finished with 9 assists, which sounds great until you watch the tape and realize she's the one initiating, reading, finding, and finishing every single possession. The point guard is the offense, not the play caller, not the system. $560 million, the largest contract in league history sitting in the corner, and the offense is whatever Caitlin Clark improvises. Fever fans are loud right now. Open the comments on any video about this team, and the message is identical: fire Stephanie White. They want a new coach. They want a faster offense. They want anyone but the person currently calling plays from the sideline. Here's the part people miss. Stephanie White didn't hire herself. She didn't draft a generational point guard. She didn't show up in Indianapolis with a binder of motion sets and unilateral authority over a franchise. Kelly Krauskopf did all of that. Krauskopf hired White in late 2024. Krauskopf signed off on the roster. Krauskopf has watched every game of this season and decided to leave the entire structure in place. Firing the coach without changing the architect doesn't fix anything. It just buries the problem under a new face. This is what makes the decision worse. Kelly Krauskopf built the front office that won the 2012 WNBA title in this same city. Lin Dunn coaching, Tamika Catchings on the floor, and Krauskopf running the basketball operations that put the pieces together. She left for the NBA. She spent years running the Pacers' basketball operations. She came back to Indianapolis in 2024 because the Fever needed a serious basketball mind for the Clark era. This is not somebody who doesn't know what she's doing. She's built championship rosters in this building before. She knows what a great point guard looks like inside a system designed around the point guard. So when Fever fans ask why this team can't seem to build around Caitlin Clark, the answer isn't ignorance. The answer is choice. Watch the Los Angeles tape if you haven't. Caitlin Clark missed 6 of her 7 three-point attempts. 6 of 7. That's not a slump. That's a player not getting any rhythm, not finding any space, not running the kind of offensive sets that produce clean looks for a perimeter scorer. She made 8 of 10 inside the arc. She drove the rim because the rim was the only thing the offense gave her. Every time Indiana ran a set, Clark ended up improvising, pulling up off broken plays, attacking switches, creating shots out of nothing. The technical foul at the halftime buzzer wasn't a tantrum. It was 3 quarters of frustration finally hitting the surface. You could see it building. 2 quarters of LA defenders draped on her every time she came off a screen. 2 quarters of switches she'd attack only to find the next defender already in her hip. The arms came back to the bench visibly red from being grabbed. By the time the second quarter buzzer hit, the frustration wasn't really about a missed call. It was about a half of basketball spent doing somebody else's job. A generational player carrying this franchise on her back, asking the officials and the offense for one clean look she could shoot in rhythm. She didn't get it. Not for 40 minutes. Stephanie White was hired by Kelly Krauskopf. That's the part Fever fans aren't tracking when they scream for a coaching change. The general manager handed the head coaching job to White. The general manager approved the roster White is running. The general manager has watched every game of this season and chosen to leave all of it in place. White didn't pick the player she's coaching. She didn't structure the cap that has Mitchell, Boston, and Cunningham eating 60% of it. That's White's own number. From her own media day. She didn't build the bench depth, or the lack of it that has Caitlin Clark playing 40 minutes a night without rest. The architect hired the foreman, the architect drew the blueprint, and the architect is sitting in the front office, not pacing the sideline. You can fire White on Friday. The blueprint doesn't change. Tonight at 6:30 Eastern, the Washington Mystics tip off against the Indiana Fever at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It's the Fever's home opener and the front end of a 48-hour homestand. Mystics tonight. Seattle Storm on Sunday. 5 games into the season, the structural problems are everything Fever fans have been screaming about. Mitchell ran out of legs in the opener against Dallas. Odyssey Sims, the guard Indiana cut, scored 20 for the Wings in the building Indiana lost in. Sandy Brondello in Toronto is building the roster Indiana let walk. The bench has no rotation answers, and Caitlin Clark just spent 4 quarters in Los Angeles taking contact every time she touched the ball. Kelly Krauskopf has tonight. She has Saturday. She has Sunday morning. She has every minute of this homestand to acknowledge what every single Fever fan with eyes is screaming about. What's the move? Here's what an offense built for Caitlin Clark looks like. Pace. The point guard initiating from above the arc with the ball in her hands. Read and react sequences where the playmaker has the freedom to pull from 28 feet if the look opens, drop a pocket pass if the help collapses, or attack a closeout if the defender bites. She did it at Iowa. She averaged 32 points a game her senior year running an offense that broke the NCAA's all-time scoring record, men's or women's. She didn't do that running off pinned-down screens. She did it with the ball in her hands, in transition, pulling from the logo when the defender gave her an inch. She's done it for USA Basketball. She did it for 3 quarters in the Dallas opener before the legs went and the rotations broke down. The system that's actually worked for her, the only system that's ever worked for her, has the ball in her hands and lets her make the decision. That's not the system Indiana runs. That's the choice Krauskopf made. So what happens if Krauskopf doesn't move? The Fever just barely held off a Sparks team that was supposed to be the worst opponent on the early schedule. Kelsey Plum nearly completed the comeback in the 4th quarter. A comfortable double-digit lead almost evaporated because Indiana couldn't run a clean possession in the half court when LA started bringing pressure. That's the floor. The Sparks are not the Liberty. They're not the Aces. They're not Brondello's tempo whenever that team is fully assembled. Wait until Indiana plays a championship-tier defense with a coach who has seen the tape and knows exactly which side of the floor the Fever can't run anything on. Wait until somebody actually traps Clark off the catch and dares the rest of the roster to make a play. The Tres Leches trio, Clark, Hull, Cunningham, is on borrowed time inside the new CBA's $7 million cap. The window isn't infinite. The longer Krauskopf waits to design an offense for the player she drafted, the smaller the window gets. So here's the question every Fever fan should be asking tonight. Are the Indiana Fever ever going to design an offense for the player they drafted? Caitlin Clark is the reason this franchise is worth $560 million. She's the reason the building sells out. She's the reason national broadcasts pick this team up. She's the reason any of this is happening at all. And 5 games into the season, she's a 1-for-7 3-point shooter who took a technical foul yelling at the officials because she couldn't get a clean look in 2 quarters of basketball. That's not on Stephanie White. That's on the architect. The Mystics tip at 6:30, the Storm on Sunday at 5. Kelly Krauskopf has the homestand to prove she still knows what to do with a generational talent. Or she'll prove the answer in the only way that actually matters, by doing nothing. Let me know what you think in the comments.